Round 2 of Sports Talk up next with your hosts Phil Kornbluth, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. Don't leave us hanging. Join the show, 800-956-7266.
Always one of the great days of the year in sports in South Carolina, only matched by tomorrow. I mean, the first 2 days of the tournament, to me, are the most fun. You got 16 games on one day, 16 games the next day. And then, of course, you go to the weekend, you still have a lot of games. And, you know, it gets progressively more intense and it gets more exciting as the value of the games go up. You know, you get to the Elite Eight and you get to the Final Four, whatever the case may be, the pressure grows. And it's a lot of fun having gone through it last year for the first time in my life, being up close and personal in the NCAA tournament, you know, something we never had the chance to do here. Well, I guess back in 1980, when was that Clemson played and made it to the Sweet 16 and lost to UCLA? Was that like 81?
That was
82. Bill Foster was the coach.
Nance was playing.
Yeah, that's a little bit before my time, just barely before my time. But as far as, you know, my life goes, it was my first chance to be involved in every step of the way with South Carolina last year, and it was a heck of a lot of fun.
Well, the only record we really didn't check out, and maybe I ought to see it, has there been a team in the NCAA history that hadn't won a game in 40-something years, and they make a run to the Final
Pretty
Four.
incredible. Pretty incredible. Going on right now, Villanova, which trailed early 3-0 against Radford, 1 versus 16. Villanova ahead here against Radford, 22-8. 12:41 to go in the first half in that one. Let's welcome in former Clemson standout guard Jordan Roper. We're trying to hook up with Aaron Lucas as well. A little give and go action here on Sports Talk. I know Jordan's all excited about what might be ahead for the Tigers tomorrow night in San Diego. Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We're good. We're good. So I know you no doubt have been in touch with some of your folks over there at Clemson this week as they've been getting ready for their trip to San Diego. What do you take as the feeling among the Tigers as they get ready for New Mexico State?
I mean, I just think it's, a lot of, pure excitement. I mean, it's been a goal for Clemson basketball the last few years since Coach Farnell's been there to, get back to the NCAA tournament, and they're finally there. I mean, it's just, I think they're ready to go, excited to play, and it's an unbelievable opportunity.
How do you like the matchup?
I love it. I mean, I think, New Mexico State, they're a good team, but I mean, in terms of, wanting to play a mid-major, I mean, they're not, some offensive juggernaut that you have to figure out how you're going to stop. And so I think it's a good matchup for us, really locking in defensively this year in terms of, how we play. So I think their style of play matched with ours. I think it'll be a good game for us to, get our feet under us and try to make a run in this tournament.
One of the strengths of the Aggies is their defense on the perimeter. They're known for doing a good job in that category. Now, they don't play the competition that Clemson faces game in and game out. Is this going to be a difficult offensive matchup for the Clemson guards in going up against the guards and the perimeter defense of New Mexico State?
I all I can say is I hope not. I mean, I think that so far we've shown that our guards are, really the nucleus of our team. Got Gabe DeVoe and Marquise Reed who really stepped up and, really had all ACC years. So, I don't think that'll be, something that we have to really worry about. But I think, our focus will still be a balanced attack. We still have Elijah Thomas down low. We still have Mark Donnell. And, we'll utilize those guys in the game and try to, impose our size on them.
Mm-hmm.
What did last week's performance in the ACC tournament show you, Jordan?
I mean, it's pretty much what we've seen throughout the year. I mean, we ended up playing, one of the better teams in the conference and playing well, but, not just enough. I mean, not enough. I mean, Virginia's the best team in the conference, and I mean, that showed. They won the conference tournament, and they're number one team in the country. But, it showed that, Gabe DeVoe is consistent. Marquise Reed is a reliable, closer in the game, and that, this team is still a solid team, even with the loss of Dante Grant.
When you look at going into the tournament like this, Jordan, especially as a guard, I know you're watching film, you're thinking about your own execution, some of the plays you think will work against the team you're playing against, but the little things that normally a guard likes to feel, do you have a chance to look through things like when you go to a practice on the floor? Can you look at and study the sight lines of where you'd be shooting from and maybe discover where the dead spots are in the floor? Do you get down to detail like that?
A lot of times, I mean, when you're playing on this stage, which I never got the chance to, I mean, there's usually not any dead spots on the floor. But yeah, you definitely get a chance to get out there and shoot around and get a feel of the arena. I mean, I think the team went up there, yesterday and, got some shoot arounds in, got a practice in. And, they've been in the arena as everyone else has been. And, as a guard, you really just like everyone else, you want to get comfortable in the arena shooting. But, I mean, you're playing in arenas all throughout the season. And if you're junior, senior, sophomore, you've played in arenas all your career. So, I think it's something that you don't really want to get caught up in, but I think most guys are just excited to be there and ready to play.
Talking with Jordan Roper, former Clemson standout, a little give and go, a lot of give, no go here on this segment of Give and Go, trying to hook up with Aaron with no success yet. So Brad Brownell extremely well. I think you guys are still pretty tight, even though you've been removed from the program for a couple of years. And how do you think he will coach in the NCAA tournament compared to how he coached in the regular season and the ACC tournament?
I think that, I think for the most part, he'll coach the same, but I think, he'll have his guys, he'll have the antennas up. I think the attention to detail for the coaching staff and the players will be on another level. But at the same time, you have to do what's gotten you there, what's gotten you thus far. And I think he'll, keep the guys positive and, be a leader for them out on the floor.
Does the tempo, if it becomes a quick tempo kind of game, up and down the court, high scoring, is that to Clemson's benefit with this particular team?
I would say so, just because I feel like we're more talented. We have a more talented guards, but I think we would want to slow it down and really, work them, the way that a Virginia or whoever does, and really get it into the post, because I think that'll be our strength no matter what within this game.
As far as just what you're looking at possibly down the road, obviously, there's College Charleston on the other side of that bracket, as is Auburn. Is there one of those two that you'd rather see if you were sitting in Clemson's shoes right now, if they get past New Mexico State?
Actually, I'd rather see Auburn.
Really?
Because, they're really an up and down team this year, and they've gotten to the tournament. But depending on what team shows up in the Auburn uniform, I mean, that could be, a great game, or, it could be a challenging one. But I think that, when I played, it was more challenging to play against a mid-major team and teams that, are the same size or, have smaller guards, because they're more scrappy. They make tougher shots. They're just more scrappy team. They fight for everything they get. As in terms when you play a big name team, sometimes they try to, live on the credit of their name. So, I think both matchups either way would be great, but I'd love to see, Coach Grant at College of Charleston, who recruited me to Clemson, go up against, former coaching staff and, see them go head to head. I think that'd be great, and awesome for the state of South Carolina. Yeah,
you just don't want to hurt Earl's feelings by Clemson being the one to knock him out. That's all you're saying.
No. I don't want to see that, but, I want both teams to have success. But definitely, happy with Coach Grant has done so far. I mean, that's awesome.
Well, listen, we're going to let you go. We hooked up with Aaron, so we'll let you go. We'll pick up with him for a couple of minutes, and I know you'll be watching the Tigers every step along the way here as they hope to make a deep run in the tournament, and we'll get back with you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jordan Roper. Aaron Lucas is standing by. We'll get to him after the break and get a few thoughts from him about what South Carolina has to do to get back into the NCAA tournament after sitting things out across the board this year.
Well, just watching the tournament today, and it's not unlike any other tournament, and they're a little bit more physical. I think that could be to Elijah Thomas's advantage. They let him play, and I think that could bode well for Clemson inside.
All right, we shall see. I mean, let's face it; it's a guard-dominated thing, and Clemson's got the guards to dominate. If they're having a good night shooting the basketball, I think it's pretty simple. If they're just making shots like they've done most of the year, they're going to win the ball game.
I agree.
I mean, it's pretty simple when you break it down. All right, we'll come back. We got some Brad Brownell coming your way, too, fresh from San Diego. Be right back.
Sports Talk is the sports talk show of Main Street, South Carolina. From the coast to the mountains, we cover it all.
All right, let's welcome in Aaron Lucas, the other side of our give and go here on Sports Talk. And we appreciate Aaron joining us here for a couple of minutes to get his thoughts on the end of the USC season and how the Gamecocks get back to the tournament next March. Aaron, how you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. How you guys doing?
Good. Thank you for joining us. So what'd you take from the Gamecocks' performance at the SEC tournament? Not good enough to get them into a postseason situation, and how do they get back to the NCAA tournament next year?
Well, I think in the final stretch of the season going into the SEC tournament, the guys are playing with a lot of confidence. You still see a lot of the youth and some of the things that guys will need to work on during summer at different positions. But overall, you started to see some of that fight that we saw last year. I think incorporating some new guys that can give you some production offensively and along with what, South Carolina's been accustomed to defensively, I think that'll propel this team to get back in the tournament.
So is it the thing we heard about a lot this year, lack of leadership compared to what they had the previous year, and they had great leadership, obviously, with those guys. Silva trying to pick up some of that. Can we expect Silva to be the man next year and everybody kind of rally around him?
Yeah, I think we saw glimpses of his leadership this year along with Frank Booker, but I think it'll overall be solidified as Chris's team. I think for the most part, he was still trying to figure out that leadership role along with performing. And of course, when he's either on the floor or off the floor, that determined how his season was going. So I think he'll start to grow more into that leadership role, being a little bit more vocal, along with getting better and improving both offensively and defensively.
I know that a lot of this is undetermined, Aaron, and the fact of the matter is we really won't know what this team looks like when we get some clarity about, Rothfelder's contribution level and whether or not Brian Bowen will be cleared to play. But as far as what those guys can bring to the table, if they are both cleared and if they're both able to play the majority of the season, how much does this team look differently with those guys in the fold?
Well, I think with Rothfelder, number one, he's going to bring a natural point guard. I think Hassani Gravett did pretty good job learning the position and growing into it. But I think Rothfelder brings you a more solidified point guard, the mentality, the toughness that it takes to play that position. And from Brian Bowen, I think with a guy that's been sitting out for a year, with all the hype and excitement of having an opportunity, hopefully everything gets cleared. I think you'll see a lot of energy from him, and if he's as talented as we're accustomed to seeing his performances in high school, then I think he'll be that added firepower on the perimeter.
The one thing that South Carolina we can say this year did not have, Aaron, was a guy that became a nuisance defensively for the other team. Dwayne Notice was that guy. He would just literally, in some games, just take the other team's point guard out of the game. Is there anyone on the present roster you can see growing into that role with added strength, or that's something that you think Frank is still recruiting toward?
Well, I think he's still recruiting. Some of that just takes effort and sacrifice. I think Dwayne many times last year sacrificed his offense for the defense, which was for the greater good of the team. So it's going to take somebody on that team just buckling down and saying, we're going to be the best team we can be by me playing defense. I think freshman from Philadelphia,
Beatty?
David Beatty could be that guy. He's athletic. He's got the size. But again, he's had to learn and grow. But, there are a few guys on that team. I think Rothfelder could also be that guy. Hassani Gravett could be that guy as well. But they just have to understand I have to sacrifice maybe some of the shot attempts that I may want for the greater good of the team.
Listen, man, we want to thank you so much for being with us all basketball season. It's been great having your insight and your comments. And we look forward to getting you back with us in November when we start it all over again.
Sounds good. I appreciate it. I enjoyed it. Go Cops.
Our pleasure. Thank you very much, Aaron Lucas, part of a Give and Go. We'll hang with Jordan as long as Clemson is in the tournament. Speaking of the Tigers,
Clemson just getting done with its media availability early today. Here are some thoughts from Brad Brownell ahead of the Tigers matchup with New Mexico State.
Yeah, really excited to be back in the tournament. Couldn't be more proud of our team and what our teams had to go through here this season. Not much expected of us early in the year. Thought our guys just really bonded well on a trip to Spain this summer, and just tremendous camaraderie. We did have some good experienced players back, so I was pretty confident that we'd have a good team. Dante Grantham, Gabe DeVoe, seniors that have been with us a long time and done a lot of really good things for our program. And then Marquise Reed, Shelton Mitchell, and Elijah Thomas, three guys that gained a lot of experience the previous year. But our team really had to readjust with Dante's injury. That was challenging, but we've hung in there and played really well defensively. I think we've continued to be a pretty solid team. And then offensively, I think we're getting better. I think we're a team that has made some adjustments. It's revolved around our guards. Our guards have played extremely well, and we're looking forward to a game against a New Mexico State team that is playing great basketball. Have a lot of respect for Chris and the way their team is set up. They guard unbelievably well, very pesky and aggressive defensively. They rebound and fire out of the ball. And I lived at the mid-major level for a long time. To win 28 games is extremely difficult. I think this is a team that's used to winning, so we know we're going to have a competitive group on the other side. Questions?
Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque Journal. 12, national media picking a 12 to pick a 5 is every year thing. This isn't necessarily a Clemson thing, but this happens to be one. This year, that New Mexico State seems to be one of the trendy 12-5 upset picks. Is that more about just the tradition of the 12-5, or is there something about New Mexico State that you can understand why people would latch on to this team being possibly a team that makes noise?
No, absolutely. I think New Mexico State is a really good team. That's why. And you watch them play, and you understand that. I mean, they beat Miami, beat Illinois at Illinois, beat Davidson, another tournament team, played USC to the wire in Hawaii. And then again, my respect for the mid-major basketball is because that's where I started and coached as a head coach for 8 years and assistant for 8 years. I know how hard it is to do that. It's not easy to be the favorite to win the league and then to go win the tournament. There's pressure there. And I really think, I'm sure the top 2-3 seeds in the tournament, the top 10 teams in the country, maybe there's some separation, but I don't know that there's a lot of separation after that, to be honest with you. The 12s, the 5s, the 7s, the 10s, the 6s, the 11s, I don't think there's much difference. I think everybody has really good players. I think there's more better coaches than ever. New Mexico State has an older group that's used to winning. They defend you, they rebound, they do the things that you need to do to be good. So I don't think it's just the trendy pick of it being 12-5. I think it's because New Mexico State has good players, a good coach, and they play well.
Yeah, I'm picking Clemson, but I'm worried for the Tigers about this game. This New Mexico State team talked about. They've got some history, they've got some experience.
There's no fear with them.
No, I don't think they'll be intimidated by the setting, and they're going to have more fans out there than Clemson will have, I'm sure. And, they got a good-sized backcourt, some 6'4", 6'3", 6'6" guys in the backcourt. So this could be tough, but if Clemson is making shots and running the floor and just playing under control and keeping the turnovers down as they have been for the most part here of late, I think they will advance to the second round.
I've always had a doubt about Clemson when they get into tournament, but this team, I have no doubt, is better prepared for the tournament because they shoot free throws well. When is the last time we've seen a Clemson team go into postseason and we're comfortable with their free throw shooting? Mm-hmm. So if they rebound the basketball, hit in the, I'd say the 40% and higher range in three-pointers and hit their free throws, they win this basketball game.
Okay, Kentucky and Davidson in a tight one midway through the first half, 20-17 Kentucky.
I had Davidson, by the way.
Villanova, no trouble with Radford, 39-14. We got 3 Wildcats on the floor at this particular time. How many people have noted that? Probably a bunch.
Only you.
Probably a bunch.
Only you.
Money Coach up next. Welcome back into Sports Talk, everybody, here on a very, very busy Thursday night. Professor Tom Hayes, Will Pelagic, Brian Leonard, all together from our downtown Columbia studios. Want to remind you that about 2.5 million children and adults suffer traumatic brain injuries on an annual basis. March is Brain Injury Awareness Month. You can learn more, and you can help the Brain Injury Alliance research, educate, and advocate for survivors of brain injury by visiting their website, www.biaofsc.com. That's of SC.com. Villanova running away from Radford 41-19 late in the first half, and Kentucky and Davidson 22-17. UK over Davidson about 8 minutes ago in the half there. You know, we're having a lot of fun talking about the games of the tournament. There's more behind the scenes, as we all know, about this tournament. People talk about it every year. All the money it generates. The money coach, Fran Halloran, joining us here on Sports Talk. And what's wrong with making a lot of money off the NCAA tournament?
Nothing at all, Phil. Good evening to everyone. Thank you again for having me. Nothing, Phil. I mean, it's a moneymaker. America's built on capitalism. NCAA makes a buttload of money, no doubt about it. This tournament eventually is going to make just this tournament is eventually going to pay the NCAA $1 billion a year. Just this tournament. So nothing wrong with that. But there's a lot more going on here. I don't know if you guys read this or not or saw this or not, but do you realize $10 billion will be wagered, most of it illegally, on the tournament this year? $10 billion.
Did you say, you said most of it illegally or legally?
Illegally.
Illegally.
Illegally. That's right. Illegally.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of money. And, you know, whether you're whichever side of the, you can't legislate morality argument you come on, boy, our government would rake in a whole lot of money if that was legal betting, wouldn't it?
Well, certainly they would. They would tax the heck out of it, of course.
That's exactly right.
And you know, maybe improve our schools and fix our roads.
Well, that's
people tell me around Las Vegas, man, you know, I had a neighbor in Columbia who was in the Air Force and was stationed in Las Vegas. And he said, man, the schools out there are beautiful. The roads are great. It's because the casinos.
Exactly right.
Casinos carry a lot of that weight.
As we talk to the money doctor here, illegally means
money coach.
Money coach. Uncle Sam isn't getting his cut. That's what illegal means, as far as that's concerned.
You are, as that gentleman last night said, you are wise.
Tell us.
I heard that. I'm sorry.
No, I was about to say I was segueing into thinking about. Next year, the tournament, part of the tournament will be here in Columbia. And can we put an amount on what economic impact would be in a community the size of Columbia just hosting one?
I'm sure we could. And I'll do a little research into that for another night. But I think that would be a wonderful thing to look at. What I've done my research on tonight is really what the tournament costs American businesses in lost productivity. I want to, and these numbers are staggering, and I have only used a very small subset, if you will. This is one of the things that I do on a daily basis with the people that I serve when I coach people on their money and their finances. I kind of drill down into the details and say, why is it? What is it that's going on? Why is it going on? How do we fix this problem? When I started drilling down into this a little earlier today, I was amazed. Let me just give you a couple of thoughts. It's estimated that during March Madness, 10 days of the tournament, it's estimated that people who are into the tournament, they cost businesses about 6 hours of production time every single day. Every single day.
You wouldn't see that around here.
No, of course not. Of course not. So during the tournament, 10 days of the tournament, people who are working, their productivity decreases by about 6 hours a day. If we looked at a small business with maybe 100 employees, and we said that maybe, I don't know, 1/5 of them, 20 of them are kind of into the tournament. If 20 people in a small business are costing that business 6 hours each in productivity, that's 120 hours. Over the 10 days, it's 1,200 hours of lost productivity time. If those people only make about $17 an hour, it's costing that one business $20,400 during the tournament. Now, that's not where it stops, though. That's $20,000, $20,400 for that one small business. But there are close to 28 million small businesses. If only 10% of those businesses, 10%, 2.8 million, have 20 people who are losing that much productivity over the course of the 10 days, these numbers are staggering. 2.8 million businesses at $20,400 per business, $57 billion, gentlemen, with a B, 57 billion in lost productivity during the 10 days of March Madness. That's why so many businesses right now are demanding that people stay off their computers. They turn off the internet. They reduce the stream, anything at all to get them off their computers and off of their phones, so that businesses aren't losing this productivity.
Is it just
$7 billion?
Is it just the timing of the day? I mean, because we it's not like we have other sporting events that take place during the day. We have the Masters that takes place at the end. There are other things that happen. What is it about this tournament that causes such an uproar and such a I would say lack of attention to one's primary objective, I guess you could say?
Well, Will, I think that's a great question. I can only speak for myself. I watch some college basketball all year long, game here, game there, but it's not my thing the way college football is. But when the tournament starts, I am looking at the tournament. I am looking at brackets. I am totally infatuated with what is going on. This tournament attracts the attention of America like probably no other sporting activity there is in our country. Yes, the Masters is great. College football playoff is wonderful. People love baseball, the World Series, but nothing garners the attention. Nothing garners the attention like March Madness does. It is the greatest marketing scheme, if you will, marketing program ever in sports. It's amazing.
Is it because, too, that everybody thinks they're going to win their bracket?
Everybody thinks they're going to win their bracket, and so many people fill out multiple brackets. You wonder why they're not winning at least one or two of them, right? So, but it's amazing to me. This time of year is so much fun. It's so exciting. I can't believe Miami was upset earlier. Was that Loyola Chicago that got
Yep, sure did.
First? What an upset, right? Unexpected, but that's a pretty good team. I think that's why people really tune in, because there will be upsets. And there's going to be great teams who lose.
And of course, I'm aging myself now, but being a fan of Gunsmoke, fans can't go out in the street and watch an old-fashioned gunfight, one and done. But in this tournament, it's something about the feeling that one of these teams are going to be gone, and this is their only shot. I think that draws people to the team.
I agree. And there's always the hope of the Cinderella story for your team, like the Gamecocks last year. I don't know that I've ever experienced more excitement as a guy who follows the Gamecocks than we had last year. Even through Spurrier's 11-win seasons, nothing was as exciting as watching Coach Martin and his team playing all the way to the Final Four last year. It was just engrossed. It engrossed all of us. It was just amazing.
Yeah.
March Madness is a great time of the year, but let me just tell you, productivity it takes a huge hit in American businesses during the 10 days of the tournament.
Well, you know what? We got Clemson, we got Charleston in there. Maybe one of those is going to get on that hot streak and give us another wild ride to the end of the month.
Absolutely. So
we will. No, I was going to say we will talk to you next week, and maybe you'll have some numbers for us on what the impact of event like this will mean for Columbia. Greenville has had it a couple of times, and we know it's had a big economic impact there.
That's right.
We'll get that from you next week.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a nice night.
You too, sir. Thank you very much. Fran Halloran, the money coach, with us here on Sports Talk. He visits with us on Thursday nights at this time to share some thoughts on the financial side of things, of the games that we love to play for free, but a lot of people like to make a big buck off of. Back in a moment.
These guys, they never sleep. Check them out on the web at SportsTalkSC.com. Now, more of Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
Thanks again to the Money Coach, Fran Halloran, for being with us here on Sports Talk. Coming up in just a moment, some comments from College of Charleston coach Earl Grant from out in San Diego. We have not done recruiting. Can you believe that? Recruiting has been held to this point in the program. That's almost unfathomable.
I was celebrating it. I'm just kidding.
No, you're not. You're serious. Mm-hmm. One of the state's top running backs for this coming season, Michael Dukes of First Baptist. Offers include USC, Virginia Tech, Wake Forest, Indiana, North Carolina, Arkansas, Coastal Carolina, and East Carolina. He's also hearing from Clemson. However, he told us last night it's not automatic that he's going to play football in college. He's also very interested in basketball, where he averaged 23 points, 8 assists, and 5 rebounds per game. And he does not have any basketball-only offers, but he's hearing from Clemson, NC State, Georgia Tech, College of Charleston, Oklahoma State, VCU, UConn, and Louisville. And he said basketball is on his mind right now with an AAU season coming up, but football recruiting continues. He's been to Georgia Tech and Virginia Tech. He's going to East Carolina Saturday, USC on March 24th. He said USC is on him still pretty regularly. Here's a lot from Bobby Bentley, so they're very much interested. And Clemson running backs coach Tony Elliott is also in touch and telling him to be patient regarding a potential offer down the road. But again, he really is up in the air about whether he will play football or basketball in college. Quarterback Ryan Helinski of Orange, California, who visited USC earlier this month, told 24/7 Sports that USC will be one of the schools on his short list when he cuts things down. He also mentioned Georgia and Ole Miss as others that will be on the list. Quarterback John Rice Plumlee of Hattiesburg, Mississippi, said he had a great visit to Clemson today, was not offered, but was told he's one of 4 on the board for the Tigers that they are looking at. He's also been to Georgia and South Florida on this trip. He's going to UAB tomorrow. Linebacker Shimon Cooper of St. Louis includes Clemson in his current top 10. Others are Oklahoma, Georgia, Florida, Illinois, Ohio State, Texas, Kentucky, Missouri, and Texas A&M. Clemson target linebacker Keith McGuire of Malvern, PA, was offered by Michigan. USC target defensive end Rashad Chaney of Atlanta announced a top 7. Unfortunately for the Gamecocks, they're not on the list. Penn State, Minnesota, Miami, Florida, Alabama, Georgia Tech, and the 7th I can't make out because he's blocking the caricature. I can't tell who that is, that 7th one. I've looked everywhere. I can't find out who the 7th one is, but it's not USC. In basketball, 2019 point guard Trey McGowans of Wren and Hargrave Prep in Virginia was offered by Wake Forest as his impressive offer list continues to grow. All right, there you go with recruiting. Be sure to check it out. Our stories on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, on Twitter. Use the hashtag STRecruiting. We heard from Brad Brownell a little while ago from out in San Diego. College of Charleston is out there as well.
Earl Grant was at the podium. He just wrapped up his media session just a couple minutes ago. This is him from his practice and his team getting ready to take on Auburn.
Yeah, just really excited about this opportunity for our program. You know, I know the players are excited. We got a very tough challenge with Auburn on Friday, but we really look forward to it.
Great. Coach, here in the back, Joe Gorcho, WIS, here to your left in the back. Joe Gorcho, WIS-TV in Columbia, South Carolina. I mean, arriving to this point has to feel really rewarding after what you guys have been trying to do building there. Just how's the excitement right now trying to get settled in for this tournament? And how do you get your team to kind of manage the nerves maybe tomorrow when the lights go on and they realize we're a part of something we've been watching on TV our whole lives?
Yeah, I mean, it's really exciting. You know, every year we start the season off and we starting to get into the early meetings and you know, the first of the semester, we watch one shining moment. We talk about the NCAA tournament. You know, we set our goals. And sometimes you come up a little bit short. Like last year, we lost in the championship game. We thought we could make it to the NCAA tournament, but we came up short. So it's exciting for our city, you know, for our fans, our administration, all the former players, you know, all the coaches who built this program before me. And now we just want to, go out and put our best foot forward against a really good team and stay true to who we are once we get into the game.
In the back first.
Kyle Bonneger, ESPN.com. Coach, there's a couple head coaches here that you've been on their staffs in the past. What have both of them meant for your development as a coach?
Well, I spent 10 consecutive years with Brad Brunell and Greg Marshall before coming to the College of Charleston. So, I mean, they taught me a lot, but the thing they taught me more than anything is just being true to yourself. Don't be apologetic for who you are as a person and as a coach and what you believe in. Both of them were great fathers and great husbands. They were great examples with their kids and their wives, and they were good ball coaches. And so I learned a lot, from a basketball standpoint, but more importantly about ethics and what it is, how to be a good man and a good role model to the players that you're dealing with. And I really appreciate the 10 years I had a chance to spend with those two guys because they really molded me as a young coach.
Earl Scott Eisberg, WCIV TV in Charleston. Has it dawned on you? You're in San Diego. You're at the big dance. You're taking your team on national TV tomorrow to play Auburn. Has it dawned on you yet? Like, oh my gosh, or is this what it was supposed to be and it's just business as usual?
I mean, it's weird, really that it hadn't dawned on me. I mean, all week we've been practicing. We've been trying to refocus after the conference championship game. We really had to fight hard to win that game. But after 2 days, taking 2 days off, we talked about just getting grounded, getting our feet back on the ground and trying to prepare for what was next. And so I hadn't really reflected. I mean, we've been working and preparing, getting ready for this moment. And we know we got a huge challenge in front of us. I think it's a great opportunity for our conference and, again, our program, our campus, our city. So we just want to go out and make sure we play basketball the way we're capable of, tomorrow.
All right, there you go. The words from the College of Charleston coach Earl Grants out in San Diego. So you've heard from Brownell. You've heard from Grants. Kentucky's up on Davidson 34-24. And Villanova is in very good shape in its game. Georgia State was the other school there with Rashad Cheney Jr. Finally got that verified by him. Couldn't make it out. He was blocking the edit there, the way they did the edits. Don't know why they covered up Georgia State, but he's not going to Georgia State. I mean, he's going to go to one of those bigger schools. He's a former Georgia commitment. A little surprised that South Carolina's not in his top list because he had a visit with South Carolina back in January, really enjoyed it. They've been recruiting him really hard, and, don't know what happened there. So, anyway, South Carolina is not in his 7 at this particular time. Let's see. As far as more basketball, Houston is leading San Diego State 19-16. Villanova up at the half, 44-23 on Radford. So another domination by a 1 over a 16 there. Texas Tech leading Stephen F. Austin 16-15. 8:10 to go in the first half. So coming up, we've got Alabama, Virginia Tech at 9:20. 9:40 game is Buffalo and Arizona. The 9:50 game is Montana and Michigan. Your 9:57 game, St. Bonaventure and Florida.
Go Bonnies.
Why do you like the Bonnies? Because they're from the state of New York? You have a fondness for things from the state of New York?
I like the Bonnie situation.
Let's go.
Okay, now, what does that mean?
That's from the movie.
Here we go with another movie reference.
Pulp Fiction.
Holy cow.
Bonnie situation. He laughed.
Oh, Brian laughs at everything.
Hey,
One thing I've learned.
Hey, congratulations. I know it's hollow because they lost, but UNC Greensboro, I thought they had a chance all afternoon to upset Gonzaga, and they did.
Hey, Brian, what is today, by the way? Brian, what is today?
The Ides of March.
The Ides of March.
I want him to say it. He says,
I said it.
No, you didn't say it.
The Ides of March.
We have the meats. Say the word meats. The guy says the word meats like anybody I've ever heard before.
Ving Rhames, the actor.
Who's that?
Ving Rhames.
Who?
Heavy set black actor.
Vin Diesel?
Ving Rhames.
Ving Rhames. He was also in Pulp Fiction also.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, is that who that is?
Yes.
I like that guy. He's a great actor. He was really good in Pulp Fiction.
He reached an untimely demise in that movie, unfortunately.
Yes. He reached a lot of things in that movie.
He became the meat.
All right. Good luck to your brackets. Good luck to your brackets. We'll see you tomorrow.